YouTube. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video, and welcome to part 1 of Dreams Ahead for Napoli. As a fan of Italian football, generally I've got my nice Italy t-shirt on, but I can't be bothered to take this jumper off. But it's the one way, it's like a celebration of when Italy won the World Cup. My mum's friend, who's actually from Italy, knows I'm a big Italian football fan, so she got me this years ago, and it's somehow fitted me as fat as I've got. Over these years, I'm sure I was probably a lot skinnier when I got it, but somehow it seems to fit me all right. I wore it yesterday as it was the 29th, so I was thinking and I was talking about how it's almost, well, it was 9 months till my next birthday, unfortunately. I know I don't celebrate birthdays normally, but anyway, pardon me. I gotta admit, I was a bit nervous making this, or I'm a bit nervous, but I hope you like it. Please show some love and give me some likes and hearts and care emojis and all that kind of stuff, and share the video and that kind of thing. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I do a better job than I think. But yeah, I've got too many thoughts on my mind, so I'm going to try and stick to the football or soccer for any Americans out there. But yeah, as a fan of Italian football more generally, again, soccer or whatever you want to call it, I dream to see Italian teams like Napoli do as well as possible. For yesterday and today, I decided to divert away from my original plan of talking about black empowerment, black Saturdays and black Sundays, to talk about to talk about my dreams for my birthday. But excuse me, I didn't get around to finishing parts 2, 3, and 4 as originally planned, because I was spending time with the family. But I'll probably talk more about that in part 2, and should go 3, and should go 4. But yeah, so I do waffle, I know, but yeah, I'll try and get to the point. Sorry. But yeah, I decided to divert away from the original plan. But today I haven't been feeling too good. It's took me ages to get out of bed. I do still suffer from insomnia, overthinking and fearing things and whatever. That might be my neurodivergent and or even mental health conditions or whatever. But yeah, I wanted to do a lot more on like neurodiverse networks, or a neurodiverse network, and things like that, but it wasn't to be this year, so maybe next year. Hopefully I'll get around to it next November. But yeah, I thought because yesterday was the 29th and it's exactly 9 months till my next birthday, I thought I'd talk about my birthday dreams, and then sadly I didn't get around to in full, and I was going to cover those, but then I thought altogether I would have to do 7 videos if I was going to cover all of them. But I'm a bit worried about it. I like to do that many, but I'm wary about Facebook or YouTube like seeing it as spam, so I'm trying to be a bit careful with that. I don't want to preempt it, but yeah, hopefully these videos will last for as long as possible. But I know one of my channels even got took away from me completely, unfortunately, so hopefully that won't happen again. But that's why I do like to keep my content on different platforms, so I hope to have all possible video sharing platforms, as I said before. But yeah, I thought because Napoli, I forgot to cover, or I didn't get around to covering with my plans. I didn't get around to covering about Napoli, and it's November. Officially, it's S.S.C. Napoli. I can't remember what that stands for. Probably something like Sportiva, sport or whatever, but sport in English or whatever. But I thought Napoli November, but I didn't quite get around to it. So hopefully next year I'll do a lot more on Napoli. But anyway, here goes. I can't really think of too much things, but I'll try my best to think of my usual 40-point list videos. So a challenge for me to take on here, and here goes. So number 1, I'd love for Italian teams like Napoli to be as successful as possible in Europe and international competitions. I'd love for Italian football to bring in the best possible managers, coaches, players, directors of football, dietitians, and whatnot, as I mentioned in the past, so they can develop Italian football. And I know I'm a fan of Italian football generally. I think I could say M.K.S for Italian football. I decided to wear this M.K.S cap instead of my. I thought instead of wearing a rival team's cap or rival team's caps for these videos tonight. But anywho, yeah. So to bring in the best possible, whatever, to help them. Point number 2, I'd love for Napoli and other Italian teams to learn as much as they can from. Let's say Napoli could learn from other teams, like their rival teams like Juventus, Palermo, AC Milan, Inter Milan, the rest of the Italian teams. As a support of Italian football more generally, they could learn from the rest of Italy, but also I often mention like learning from other club teams as well as the national team. Other national teams as well. So learning all they can, as I often say, like learning from other club and other football teams, whether that's club and amateur or country, amateur or other sports teams, and the world of business and life itself generally, being a student of life and that kind of thing. So learning how to continue to develop their footy, their soccer abilities and that kind of thing. And learn how to attract investment, which I hope to come to in more detail. I was going to say in point number 1, but I forgot. But I hope they'll learn to attract all possible investment, sponsorship deals, any sort of legal ways to get more funding. How to, as Napoli's a poorer part of Italy, maybe they could have like extra funding from the Italian government and council, but also from the EU and others to support like football development in poorer areas, like in parts of Napoli or whatnot. And I'd love for them to play and practice their football as much as possible. Number 3, I'd love for investors and sponsors to sponsor like places and spaces for playing and practicing. So Napoleons to practice football as much as possible. It's funny that Napoleon was from France, but I don't know why his name was Napoleon. I thought he'd be in Napolitan, but I can't even pronounce it. How do you pronounce it? Napolitan, or whatever. But anyhow, so providing free footballs and opportunities to play football in Napoli, and hopefully developing the youth there, as well as helping them to fund race to buy the best possible players and that kind of thing. Looking into all possible legal ways they can acquire funding. And again, another thing I have to mention is like neurodivergent people like myself could come up with out-the-box ideas for doing so, but I hope to talk more about neurodiversity, possibly in part 3 and 4 maybe, or maybe in part 2 as well. Excuse me. Point number 4, I'd love for them to be co-owned by all possible investors that begin with N, due to my admittedly rather strange use of alliteration. So Nestle, Nike, Nissan, can't think of any others off the top of my head. Nvidia, how could I forget? Which is one of the biggest companies in the world, and at one point I think it was the biggest company in the world. But yeah, companies like that. They're basically companies and investors that begin with N, and even entire countries. I often say like, so even like Nigeria, Niger, Norway, which has one of the biggest sovereign wealth funds. I can't believe I forgot that one. But all possible. I love for nations and places, even cities, towns, villages, and whatnot, counties or whatnot, that begin with N to have their own sovereign wealth fund that invests in Napoli. So hopefully they can get as much, as I say, any and all possible legal funding that can help them to acquire the best possible players, coaches, managers, directors of football, dietitians and whatnot in the future, ASAP preferably. As I say, I wanted it done yesterday, or yesteryear even, or many years ago, if I take it literally. So get all possible investors that begin with N, maybe even charities and NGOs to work with them, organisations and associations, maybe to have their own investment platform. So I'd love for Italian teams generally, as well as Celtic, which I hope to come to, generally ahead of myself, to be able to be attractive towards investors by having a great return on investment. Excuse me. And number 5, that would require the supporters of Italian teams like Napoli and Serie A supporters generally. I know they have a rival with each other or can't stand each other, but if they put their differences aside to say what's best for Italian soccer, to bring it back to its glory days. Maybe many Napoli fans will not really care about that as well as other fans of other Italian soccer teams, but they'll probably say I only care about my own team or whatever, which is fair enough. But I think especially those from the diaspora, again, I have to come to that in more detail, but to show they get behind the team. So it'd be good for investors and sponsors, PR and ROI, to invest in and sponsor Italian teams like Napoli, hopefully. And I'd love to know from Napoli fans like what any Napoli fans' dreams are. So Napoli fans will stumble across this guy here and say, these are what I hope for Napoli to achieve, and this is what Italian football means to me, or this is how I care, but whether they care about the national team or not. Some supporters unfortunately may not. I'd rather they did, but some may not. Number 6, on my use of alliterations and patterns and things I often mention, like how Sunday reminds me of like SU for success, support, success, and all that sort of stuff. So supporters are instrumental to success, support to achieve success, to succeed, and that kind of thing. So helping the club to succeed, and I hope they'll be able to contribute to Italian football again. I hope they'll have great academies and sports clubs to develop young players. Well, the academies especially to develop younger players, but I'd also love for them to have academies and sports clubs around the world, as say, to be honest, as I would love for Italian teams to have generally. Number 7, I love for them to have a partnership with Celtic. I want to talk about Celtic as well. I was going to say in the intro, but I thought I'd wait till point number 7. For some reason, number 7 reminds me of Celtic. A great victory for Celtic today. I hope Celtic can go on to get more success as well. I hope they can win a treble. In fact, there is a group on Facebook, but I think they've done this strange thing where they limit the amount of posts or whatever. But I've tried to share videos and ideas with them because it's quite fitting that they support Napoli and Celtic supporters together. But I'd love for Italian teams generally, to be honest, say to have to have a partnership with Celtic, so to practice at club and country level actually. So the Italian national team, Italian clubs like Napoli, and also with Celtic to practice together. Good victories for Celtic, and I hope Celtic can go on to have even more success and win like a treble this season and continue to win. Controversial view I have, in a way, if that's the right word. Anything controversial nowadays, but is that by the way, I hope it's not too dark. I mean, I wanted to wait till 5 o'clock, which is just about now. According to my mobile, it's 3 minutes away. Now 2 minutes away from 5. According to my laptop, it's 5. But I was hoping to wait till this time to put the lights on and things like that because I went to save electricity. But it got really dark about 4 o'clock, to be honest. Well, it started getting really gloomy and all that. I won't say it was really dark, but it was quite gloomy. Sorry, but yeah, it's a good victory for Celtic. And I know I think of Italian football and Celtic together and that kind of thing. And I love them to practice and train together, say, the Italian national team, club team, especially at youth level, I meant to say, because then they can help the national team, the Italian national team especially, and also club teams like Napoli and Celtic. I hope they get lots of practice matches together and have as many 6 and 7-a-side pitches as possible. Again, for some reason, Celtic reminds me of the number 7. But yeah, I think, what I was going to say is that I think in Europe, it's almost the opposite with the Italian teams. I want them to win Europe. In fact, when Celtic play Bologna, and especially when they play Roma, there's the only times I don't mind Celtic losing or even getting thrashed. But in all the domestic games, I always want Celtic to win. But in Europe, actually, I don't even mind them losing. But with the Italian teams, it's the only time I actually want them to lose because I support Italian teams a little bit more than Celtic, but it's almost the same. But yeah, I hope they can practice together, learn from each other, share ideas, maybe up to a certain point. I know they might not want to share all their ideas, but and their strategies and whatnot. But they won't play each other that often, so they can probably share as much as possible with each other. But yeah, even on areas, ways to attract investment and sponsorship and that kind of thing. Even like in a video, if they invest into the club, which I dream they do, and sort of sponsor it, they could look at how to use tech in sport. I know it's already kind of used, but maybe there's something they can do there with tech or AI companies and that kind of thing. But they can certainly promote their brand and that kind of thing on stands and things like that. But yeah, good victory for Celtic today. I was singing the song "A Beautiful Sunday." I want to sing it, but I'm not going to right now. But, please check it out. Actually, they should pay me commission, but please check it out on YouTube. I think it's quite a nice song. It's quite a good song. But "A Beautiful Sunday," I often think of when Celtic went on Sundays. And actually, because our rivals, I don't know about Rangers, but I don't know about the Rankers, as I call them, but Hearts dropped points yesterday, and they've drew, I think, their last 3 games. So hopefully we can catch them up and beat them. I wanted to talk about Celtic, but yeah, in Europe, I'd rather us actually go out so we can focus on the league, especially because it's really close at the moment between us and Hearts. And I really hope we'll make sure we capitalise on winning the final that we're in. Make sure we beat St Mirren and don't take it too lightly. But then from the mistakes of losing to Aberdeen on penalties, and also that we win the other, get to the other final and win that as well. So I hope we get a treble. A double would be quite good. A treble would certainly be a lot better. least we stopped Rangers from winning at least one of the trophies that was available to them. But yeah, the only time I'd want Celtic, even in Europe, I don't really care if Celtic lose. And also, for now at least, and I don't really care, especially as I'd rather them lose to Bologna and Roma. I'd love for like Roma and Bologna to get to the final because I love the Italian team generally as well. But in the future, as we build, I have to think of that. I keep saying that, but because we keep getting challenged in the league and we're not doing quite as well, I want us to build in the league and then win so many trophies in the league first, and then maybe win in Europe. That would be pretty cool. But I almost kind of want us to go out of Europe, but a bit like our own Brexit, which I said before. But with Italian teams, it's the opposite. I always want them see them do well in Europe, and I don't really care who wins domestically, so it's almost the opposite. But yeah, I hope Celtic go on to continued success. But because I want Celtic to win more trophies than the Rankers, that's what I care about there. But I'll probably talk more about them. Hopefully on the 7th, exactly a week away, I think. Yeah, exactly a week away. I'll talk about Celtic, and on Friday I'll talk about the national team, the Italian national team, and on Saturday, in between those 2 days, Serie A more generally. I think that'll be quite fitting. But jumping ahead of myself. But moving on, number 8, as I dream that Italian teams will have as much investment as possible and bring in the best possible managers, coaches, players, directors of football, dietitians, tacticians, specialists, or whatever, strategicians, or whatever. But maybe it's sometimes a bit too strategic. Sometimes it has to learn more from other leagues. And like I dream that they'll learn from Spain and what they've done well in France and other teams, especially in terms of France at the national level, and in terms of Spain at club and country level. But as I say, I'd love for youth teams to find as many opportunities as they can for Italian teams to practice against Celtic, and including the national team, as I say, especially at youth level. And I dream that will benefit the Italian national team, Italian club teams like Napoli, and also Celtic, of course. And I'd love to know from Napoli fans, where do we start, about their passion, and hopefully that will encourage investors and sponsors to invest into and sponsor the club. And I think local politicians, councillors and businesses and whatnot could invest into the club, as long as they do it legally and find ways like within FIFA and UEFA's rules, maybe say, are we able to invest this? But I think there are rules where the government or politicians or whatever can't invest a certain amount, can't interfere too much, but maybe they could still at least help Napoli to have more stadiums for the youth, again, academies and whatnot, and encourage footballs in schools. But they could look at like what are the rules, what can they do legally to benefit Italian teams, in this case Napoli, and how can they encourage businesses to invest in the club. So I'd love to see what businesses could do, because I'm sure there's no rules on like businesses certainly sponsor like academies or whatnot, but they could look into what can they do legally to invest in the club and help it to be strong as much as possible. Number 9, I'd love to see how the club can connect with the supporters, like sharing 5 to 10 year plans, looking at how to encourage investment, how to get more people into football, how to give more youth opportunities in football, especially how to have footballs in parks and schools and things like that, which I'd love to have in Italy more generally. And number 10, again, I think especially the youth is really important to develop. So I'd love to have academies and training opportunities, and include like neurodiverse people through football. So if neurodiverse people are not doing so well at school, they have football as an outlet. And I think even like people with mental health problems, maybe even like, I know that sometimes you have to be careful because people with mental health problems might, I was going to say, be dangerously violent, might have anger management issues or violent tendencies or whatever, if they have certain issues like schizophrenia or whatever. But many people with certain mental health conditions, I myself am quite harmless, but could really probably benefit from football. And I think that giving them opportunities to play in the academies, it could be really beneficial for the society more generally as well. And they say that we're more of a danger to ourselves than to others. But anyway, I'd love to know what you think, as ever. Probably should have asked that at the start of it, more closer to the start of the video, because midway through point of the video, because I do wonder if people have the patience to listen to me waffle. But on that note, peace and love, and I'm out.